Welcome, everybody, again. This is Amy. I know lots of people are joining on. We do have Chad Churchill and Chuck, and we also have Dave Cunningham today from First Data, so welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are we ready?
We are.
We are ready. Well, good. Good morning, everybody, and thanks for you early birds in Alaska joining us at 5 a.m. That's awesome. I want to see pictures. Send me pictures. I love Alaska. It's beautiful up there. So, anyway. It is, and every time Chad tells me you're heading up there, I get jealous. So it is. I absolutely drove up there one time, and it was an incredible trip. So, well, good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming in today. I know we talked a little bit last week that we had a lot of Clover questions, and Clover's a great product that FDR's come out with, and we're getting a lot of traction with it and want to continue getting more traffic with it. So we had Dave join us today from FDR. He's going to talk a little bit about, and thanks, Dave. I appreciate you being here.
No problem.
He's going to talk a little bit about, what FDR is seeing going on with Clover. They see more than just the window that we see. They're moving a lot of these units out there. They're helping a lot of merchants out. The value that the Clover allows you to bring to the merchant is phenomenal, which makes it less of a pricing game. It's not about price, it's more about value, and that's how we've always sold, and we have this product. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Dave, and let you introduce yourself and talk a little bit about what Clover's going on. And guys, we'll have time for questions, right? Dave, you can hang the duration, right?
Yep.
All right. So write down your questions. I'm sure a lot of you have come with them already. But Dave, I'll turn it over to you, and let's learn more about the Clover.
Okay. Well, I think most of you know we had originally we introduced the Clover station just almost about a year ago, and that's kind of changed the face of POS, and it's kind of changed how First Data looks at merchants and how we sell to merchants. And now on top of that, we've introduced the Clover Mini and Mobile, which are available for sale, and you guys actually participate in a pilot program for those. And that's the entire suite of Clover products is kind of changing the way merchants look at their credit card provider. And that's kind of what you guys you're used to selling value, and that's kind of what we're trying to preach to folks out there. It's not about just flipping terminals anymore. It's about being a business consultant, and that's kind of the advantage Clover gives you when you go out to talk to a merchant. You're not talking about rates. You're just not talking about processing. You can actually talk about selling them a tool that helps them grow their business, helps them manage their business. There's a lot of really interesting and fun things right now going on with Insightix and Perka, and the fact that we have free versions. Insightix now, when you buy a Clover station, is free for the rest of this year. So that's kind of a great, teaser, tempter for a lot of merchants, of the fact that they can go in and do, business analytics with the Clover tool and not have a charge for the balance of this year, and then make a decision. I don't know what we're going to do with it in January. My guess is there's going to be a change in how we price it, but it's kind of the idea to get some stickiness. And that's really what Clover is about. It's a system to help them. It processes credit cards. And it's a fantastic terminal. Both Mini and Mobile have EMV native and Apple Pay and the whole deal. And you can do that with a station with the FD40. But besides that, it's a tool to help them run their business, and it will make their business better. It will make their business more profitable. So that's how you have to sell it. If you walk in talking about processing, you're just another guy walking in wanting to flip the terminal. But if you walk in and talk about what a great business tool it is, and things like Insightix and Perka, and the app market started with something like 14 or 15 apps, and right now there's 55, and there's another 400 in the pipeline.
You said 400?
400 in the pipeline.
Wow.
So the app market is taking off just like we wanted it to, and that's one of the huge selling points of Clover, is the fact that they can pick and choose what they want. They can go in and mold the system or build the system to help them run their business the way they want to do it. And there's apps now for everything from there's everything from something as silly as a fortune cookie app, which prints a fortune on the bottom of a receipt, to a full-blown enterprise level Mission Control is an app that'll help you run multi-location business and inventory, employees, the whole deal. So it's a pretty robust system, and that's where you got to get familiar. Everybody that's selling Clover should be in or at Clover.com and wading around in the app market and looking at what's out there, because I'm sure there's something that'll fit the merchant. And that's what I walk in talking about, guys. When I walk in for merchant demos, I don't walk in talking about credit card processing. I walk in talking about, I'll lead with Homebase, the scheduling app, or I'll talk about Sync, Commerce Sync, that helps them line up their QuickBooks or Xero accounting with their Clover system. You talk about the app market, you almost never have to talk about processing.
So Clover.com, so you can go and, so if you're picking out, let's say, because, a lot of different agents have their own different spin and their own marketing ideas and what they're going after. So if you're picking a particular vertical, you just think about things that would pertain to that vertical market and go to Clover.com and start searching out some apps. What would be, maybe it's a reminder app, maybe it's a time clock app, it's an inventory. Something to sync with your accounting. And they sync with more than I would imagine at this point. You can, I know we talked about QuickBooks a little bit, but there's other accounting programs out there that some merchants use.
Xero, yeah. They haven't integrated to Peachtree yet, but we do to Xero. Sync integrates to Xero and QuickBooks.
In QuickBooks, okay. And
with
great
400 apps on Horizon. Right, and great example, you're talking about verticals. I mean, if you start talking about restaurants, quick serve restaurants or bars or that kind of thing, there's now a bar tab off. That was one of the, the holes we had with the Clover station. But now on mobile and mini, there's actually a bar tab pre-authorization app that comes with the, it's one of the standard apps. You don't have to pay extra for it every month. And,
so did they just purchase the app? So let's say just so people understand, 'cause some folks on the call today are new agents. They haven't seen the Clover yet. They haven't had much exposure to it. So let's say I'm in front of a merchant and they say, hey, I want an app that prints off a fortune cookie on the bottom of the receipt as kind of a fun thing.
That's kind of the great thing about it. It's exactly the same as downloading an app on your phone. You guys. That's the other beauty of this thing is it's kind of a silent salesperson, because once they get the Clover in and they start buying apps, we're going to send out promos on the apps, that kind of stuff. We're going to introduce new apps on a part of the screen when they open up the Clover in the morning. So you don't have to sell them. They can go out and look in the app market, wait around the app market, and when they choose an app that fits their business and download it, you're still going to get paid. Okay, right. First Data will share the profits on that with the ISO. So, it's a silent salesperson out there that's, just kind of knocking off that kind of stuff. So it's just like your phone. If you see an app you like and it's $1.99, boom, now some of these apps are a lot more robust than a phone app. So, some of them could have charges up to, if you buy the full-blown version of Perk, I think it's $39 or $49 a month with the marketing option. But that bills through the app market. It bills directly to an ACH to the merchant, so you guys don't have to mess with that. It's just revenue. So there's apps. I mean, like I said, it's hard to describe. There's 2 or 3 different enterprise level apps now with Mission Control. There's the gift program. That's another great application that runs through Clover. They can get themselves into the gift business, gift card business for, $20 a month. They can do unlimited digital gift cards to people's phones for $20 a month. Plus, if they wanted physical gift cards, they can buy them through gift also. So, it's a matter of them going on, downloading the app, and starting the service. And when somebody comes into their store and says, I want to buy a gift card, they can say, hey, I can put that on your phone. Or they want to buy a gift card for a friend. Well, you can send it to them on their phone. Right. And there's no initial investment. It's just you pay them. And every app on the app market, by the way, has a free 30-day trial. So they can get in, download an app, wait around, see if they like it for 30 days. If they don't like it, they just turn it off.
Hey, Dave.
Yeah.
Dave.
Yeah.
When are they going to come with the hotel application? Do you know when that's going to happen?
I've heard that in the pipeline there's actually 2 or 3 apps that are being developed for, like, specifically, what are you talking about for hotels? Like room management, or
Yeah, room management, reservations, everything. I mean, I've got a lot of accounts up here in Alaska that take reservations, that need something that can work with reservations and manage their business.
Well, there's online booking tools now. I mean, there's one that was built specifically for salon. There's online scheduling tools. I don't know, you'd have to go in and wait around in them and see if they'd be robust enough for that. I know there's some hotel, like, not like, Hilton, but kind of bed and breakfast kind of stuff in the pipeline. But I don't,
Okay.
to be honest with you, I don't know. See, that's the other thing you got to realize too. A lot of these apps, it's an open app market. So you can go out there, if you wanted to develop an app, you can go out to clover.com/developer, and there's the APIs out there. There's a sandbox they can play in, and all that other fun stuff. So a lot of this stuff, while we have to certify and approve it, we're not actually the owners or the developers.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
How about golf?
Question.
How about golf courses?
Same thing. I've actually heard that there's a tee time booking app in the process, but I have not. I can't tell you when or where.
But if they have a pro shop and want to put their inventory and manage all that in there too,
They could do that right now. They could do that right
okay.
now.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, retail. That's a perfect fit for retail.
Okay, Dave. What about RV stops for booking RVs ahead of time? RV locations, camping locations, that type of thing.
Like I said, you'd have to go look. I mean, it's the system would handle it. Just whether there's an app out there for scheduling that fits it. There's several scheduling apps that I know of. I'm going to call it the app market while we're sitting here because. But there are several scheduling apps.
Okay.
That might work for booking.
Okay. I got one more question on multi accounts with one terminal. I know right now we can only go with single accounts, MIDs, not 2 MIDs on one terminal. Like we have a lot of accounts that are hotel gift shops or restaurant, RV parks, things like that, where they have one terminal right now and running a multi account on that one terminal. Is that ever going to become a capability on the?
Yeah, multi-mid is actually multi-mid is it's not an application. It's something we need to work on, and I heard it's number 1 on the list right now.
Okay, is there any type of deadline when I think that'll be available or not?
No, but I could ask, but I have not heard a schedule on that, but I could ask.
All right, I got a lot of customers interested in that.
Yeah, you and there's a lot of folks, beauty shops, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
that's a big deal, and I know it's in development.
Yep. Okay.
Dave, is there any way that we can get some trifold brochures that we could hand out to our...
Yeah, I have an email. I can email them to Amy, and she could distribute them.
Okay, awesome.
I have them for all 3 devices, so I'll do that. It's funny, you're talking about the apps in development.
Guys, can I ask a question?
Hold on 1 second.
Talk about apps in development. I just in here and looked at and there's 3 apps that I haven't seen before, and I was in here last Thursday. So.
Right.
So go ahead. I'm sorry. I think I interrupted somebody.
Can I ask you a question? Did I hear correctly that you guys say that the Clover can integrate it with QuickBook right now? And if so, what version of QuickBook?
Sync. There's an application called Commerce Sync that integrates with QuickBooks, and I think I don't know, as far as I know, it's all versions, but I could look and see if it has anything listed here. Hang on a second.
Well, and 2, we can go to clover.com and you can look at a lot of this stuff yourself, which I would do too. Is you're figuring out your verticals and you're figuring out the people that you're working with and and even your existing portfolio. Just because you sold someone, an FD terminal 2 years ago doesn't mean this isn't something you want to go to them with. I don't know if we have, especially with EMV coming, people are upgrading anyway, and this would be the route I would go. Bring them other value.
That's a great point. Actually, I would recommend, and I'm recommending to all my ISOs and agents, you need to go out right now to your existing customer base with the Clover Mini and if they have a terminal, an FD terminal or another terminal, you're only, it's July 1st here in a couple days, folks. You're only how far away from October? And EMV comes in, and the Mini gives them, a perfect replacement that has all EMV and Apple Pay capabilities, plus some tools to run their business. The pricing's pretty good on it, and there's no. By the way, if you're putting a Mini into a merchant, for a terminal replacement, there's no software fee because it's a terminal replacement. They have to take, either TransArmor or the total package of TransArmor, but they don't have to pay a software fee. So it's a forward-thinking little tool that'll help them run their business. It gets them into EMV, and it makes them sticky to you because we won't flip Clovers. So nobody's going to be able to walk in there and say that, hey, I can give you a better rate and flip the terminal.
One more question. Did you say you have some handouts that you can email to us?
I'm doing that right now. In fact, while we're talking, I'm getting ready to email them to Amy and Chad. So,
Chad, can you get that to us, please?
Yeah, we'll get that out to you. Amy will have that from Dave. So.
Okay.
Chad, in the call?
I'm still here.
Chad. Yeah. You're still here, Chad? Oh, Chad.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I had myself muted. I was trying to be polite.
Wow. You're changing.
I'm turning over a new leaf. That's the newer, softer, cuddlier Chad.
Oh, I've been with Chad a long time, and that's the first. So, guys, things do happen.
Yeah, note that on your calendar right there.
Yeah,
please do.
The whole cuddly thing might be kind of scary, but
Yeah, well, the cuddly thing's scary. And if you've seen Chad, Chad's kind of a big guy, so he's kind of got that teddy bear thing going on. So, he's awfully cuddly, right?
But the answer is yes, Emilio and Bev. I will when we get those, I'll send those out, and likewise anyone else who wants to get a copy of those, just let your AD know because I'll make sure to supply them as well.
Yes, we
hey Chad, add me to that list.
All right, just shoot. Let's do it this way. Anybody that wants one, shoot your AD, and if I'm your AD, shoot me an email, and that way I can just reply and attach it to them.
Yeah.
Now, Chad, you don't want me to shoot you an email because we use live weapons up here, Chad. You want me to send you an email?
Yeah, you don't. Yeah. Exactly.
The guy in Alaska, that'd be tough.
Yeah, right.
I've watched Alaska State Troopers.
Yeah, right. Yeah, me too.
Actually.
That's late night TV, right? It tells you when you're doing it at midnight. And excuse me. I think one thing you got to remember too. But I love that, and we've seen. This is a real solid toehold for us with the Clover Mini, because you can use it just. And when I say this, you don't have to go live with everything. You can get it in just as a straight terminal application, and you can come back later and you can take it in steps with the merchant. And what I found is a lot of merchants, obviously they're needing to upgrade because of EMV. And most merchants don't know what an EMV terminal is. It going to look like the old terminal? What's an EMV terminal going to be? So what's the difference if I show up with the Clover or some other EMV terminal? They don't have an idea. They don't have a clue. And actually that come with one of our, I have an agent or an advisor that went and that's what they just showed up with. And they go, and the merchant's words were, oh, so that's what an EMV terminal looks like. Yep. Okay, great. Well, we need two of them. So understand. I mean, merchants have to be EMV ready. That's just that's the thing that it's a must-do kind of thing, and merchants don't know if that's going to look like an old terminal or not. So go that route, and then you can introduce other things either then or later with it. But at least get it in the merchant's hands, because once they start using it and see the usability of using it, you're going to have a happier merchant, and it's going to allow you to bring other value to the table for them. Sorry, Dave, go ahead.
No, you're absolutely right about that. I mean, I'll tell you, Clover next to most of the other EMV capable terminals that are out there is like, you guys are, it's a Cadillac. It's a really nice terminal, and it's really functional. It's easy to use. It you know, and it you know, when you see it, it doesn't look like a terminal. You know, so. There's that sexy factor that a lot of merchants. I mean, that's one of the things that really helps sell Clover. Is it's really pretty cool looking.
Right.
You know,
Hey, Dave. Bruce
yeah.
from Nebraska. You said you weren't going to be any flipping of any Clovers with merchants. I had a merchant who I solicited for the Clover, and he called First Data, and they. On the telephone sales, they indicated that they would give him a new merchant number and sell him the Clover at those introductory prices that were out a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
Is that still happening?
Well, you know, he's got to buy a new device. We sell through different channels, guys. I can't stop that. I don't think it's entirely ethical that somebody's calling somebody that already has a Clover, and that's not what we want to do. And I'd really like to know that. If you have specifics on that, or if you have an email they sent him that's a proposal like that, I'd like to have that. But you know, the idea is making the merchant buy a new piece of hardware. You know what I mean? They're still making him buy a new piece of hardware, and I guess I'm not sure why he'd want to do that. You know.
Well, because he was going to get it cheaper from you than he was from us.
But did he already have the hardware?
No. He was looking at. Actually, I ended up placing the Clovers in his restaurant, 2 of them. But he called when I gave him the Clover.com for him to look at all the apps and the other information about it for more educational purposes. When he called that number, they were soliciting him to switch his account to them, which he's already processing with First Data anyway. And then number 2, they were going to sell him the Clover at a significantly less cost than we were going to.
Which number? The Clover pre-sale helped? Which number?
No, it was the first number that was out. I'll get the number for Chad, but it was the first number that was out, and it was on a website, and it was just Clover.com, and then it was their number that was on their telephone sales, and he called and.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you know. Okay, yeah, I can't. I'd like to get more details on that because actually, you know, the idea is we won't flip them. He'd have had to buy a new one. You know what I mean? If he already had a Clover sitting there and somebody called up and said, "Oh, we can reprogram that," they can't do it. I mean,
okay, no, we understand. I think what the point is, Dave, and Bruce, I certainly understand where you're coming from because we don't like that either. Is that if Clover.com is the channel that we go to look at apps, and we want our merchant goes, hey, where can I go look at apps? I just want to see what apps are available.
Right.
I think we'll be hard pressed to send them to Clover.com if somewhere through that channel they're going to try to be sold by FDR. I think that's
I'm trying to look
probably
at something here.
And who knows? I mean, with the with the internet today, I mean, people can find anybody's number, and I don't know if we got the number off that website. I don't know. I mean, I guess if anything, Dave, it's you can hear our voice about it, and I'm sure we're probably not the only ones. So, because we certainly, our guys are working hard out there. Our guys and ladies are out there working hard to really get Clovers out there. So. And you know what, guys? FDR does have channels. They have a direct sales channel. So the cool thing is, and no offense to FDR salespeople, Dave, so don't take it that way. No offense, but you guys are better. You guys have stronger relationships with your clients. You're better, and and is that stuff? If it happens, we'll figure out workarounds. Get with us, and we'll figure out what we can do to. We'll call and beat up Dave to give us something better pricing to get to match the FDR deal or something. But that's going to happen. That's the capitalist world in which we live. But I think so what is the best way when a merchant says, hey, I want to what apps are available? I mean, if I send them to Clover.com and they're getting access to somebody's FDR is trying to sell it, I certainly don't want that. What is the best way for a merchant to do that?
The best way to do it, Chuck, is you're going to service them. It's all about service and relationships. Okay.
Yeah,
and you can stress that when you're in there, and that's the key to keeping that customer or getting that customer. You know,
Absolutely.
most of the people want to know you're there. They want to see you, or they want to hear from you. And when they call, they want someone to answer, not get a menu. And that's the other key, guys. All right, and people will stay with you and pay more for that service.
You know, I agree a little bit in spirit with Chad on the you guys are better because not necessarily than me, but
here we
the
go.
RSA channel. You know, I don't know if you guys know, but the bank alliances in the RSA channel, there's a lot of turnover in that channel.
Right.
You know, and those guys are out there. You know, you know, if you're a merchant, you buy off the guy, and 3 months later you have a problem. That guy might be gone.
Right.
Okay. You guys are there. You know, you like I said, you've got the relationships. I think you want to sell that. I think you want to sell, you know, some technical expertise, some service, the fact that you're responsive. You know, and you know, it's you know, they're going to walk in there, these guys, and they're going to cut all kinds of deals because it's hit and run. You want to establish a relationship and work with the merchant.
Right. And the other thing is you want to help your merchant grow. You want to look at what and listen to what his needs are and try to help him grow.
Right.
That's
and
what
you know what? And you need to be somewhat, you know, along with being a really good, part of being a great salesperson is you're, I guess the only word I can think to describe it is you got to be almost a little concierge too. You know, when you're talking with your merchant and you're finding out what their needs are, and you have, you know, be creative. Go, you know what, maybe I'm going to go, when I talk to a merchant today, even existing merchant, new potential merchant, whatever the relationship is, my job's to be the expert. My job's to be out there, understand what apps. You know, I think Dave said, look, I was on there Thursday and I'm on there today and there's 3 new apps. You know, my job is to be be combing through that stuff. So when I'm and look for it. When I'm in front of a merchant, you know, I have some ideas because I've already been there. I've already looked at things that are available, and when I hear some key things that this merchant may be interested in, or I see something that would be a big value for the merchant, I need to go, oh, you know what, I'm going to check into an app for you because I just saw this. Let me look and get a little more detail. Or, you know, that's all a part of being an expert.
And look for clues, okay? You know, this is what I tell people. There's a couple of apps that you can lead with that, you know, will really help you out. Like you walk into a quick serve restaurant or, you know, a retail business and you see a time clock or you see a paper schedule or, you know, like quick serves usually have, you know, a lot of employees. They might have, you know, 10 or 12 employees, and keeping all that straight. You know, ask them a question like that. Don't jump right in to talk. Say, hey, you know, how many employees do you have? And if they say, you know, 10, 12 or whatever, is scheduling an issue? Do you have a problem with scheduling? Hey, this is a really cool application, Homebase. It lets you, you know, and then you go in to talk about Homebase, how it lets you set your schedule from anywhere in the world on any laptop, any tablet, any phone, and broadcast it out to their employees through a free telephone app. You know, because that's a big headache for, you know, so, and they can check on whether, Homebase lets them check on whether people have showed up for work or whether they haven't punched out when they're supposed to. You know, so, you know, then there's, you know, wait listing. There's a lot of apps that can get you in the door talking about their business as opposed to talking about process. And that's
what are some of those, Dave? What are some of those?
Homebase is a great one. Homebase is a free scheduling app. There's a free version of it on Clover, and like I said, it lets the owner write his schedule for his employees from anywhere in the world on any computer, laptop, or telephone. It's a free app that they can download on their telephone. They get their schedule on the telephone. They can trade shifts over their telephone. The owner can actually say he approves or disapproves of a shift change like that. He can set it up so if he's got a little restaurant and the guy's supposed to be there at 5:45 to open it up because he starts serving breakfast at 6, if the guy doesn't punch in by 5:45, he can set it up so it alerts him on his phone and say, hey, John didn't show up this morning, or he hasn't clocked in yet. I mean, Homebase is a great entry app. Sync Commerce, which I talked about, that lets them, you know, you got a small business owner and you ask him if he's using QuickBooks on his books, and then you ask him how much time does it take you every week to enter your data into QuickBooks. You're going to get an answer like 2 to 4 hours. That's a lot of time. But Sync lets them do it with one touch. Okay, they you know, it's a monthly fee, but you know, and it's I forget $29 a month, but it's 4 hours or 16 hours a month worth $29. You know, what you got to remember with Clover is it does things for them that gives them back time. You know, that lets them do what they want to do, which is run their business. Sync's a good one. I mentioned Homebase. Perka, the loyalty program. They can get a full-blown loyalty. Perk is free now. You can run one punch card or 1 points loyalty program free with Perka, and it's a phone app. They can have their customers download the phone app and keep their punch cards on their phone. And then if they want to go to the full-blown marketing version, they can. But there's a lot of these apps that let you kind of get in the door and get talking about their business and talking about problems, real problems they have.
Hello.
Yep. Are there any other questions that we can ask Dave today, guys, that you guys have been wrestling with, or maybe a hurdle, or just curiosity, or anything to better equip us to go out and make sure we bring as much value to the merchants as we can?
I have a quick question, Chuck.
Yeah.
This is Shelley Johnson, Michigan.
Yeah, Shelley, go ahead.
When I was setting up a Clover and trying to sync it to QuickBooks, it wasn't working. And when I called Clover, they directed me to QuickBooks. And when I called QuickBooks, they directed me to Clover. And then I ended up emailing and it took forever. Is there any quicker way yet or not?
I'm sorry about that. No, I don't. They probably should have sent you to Commerce Sync, the people that made the app.
Yeah, that's what I actually ended up emailing them, and I did get a response and got a phone appointment. The problem is it's not just me. It's the merchant, and she's got a full-time day job, so I had to go at night or on Saturday. You know what I'm saying? So if there was
I hear you.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, the problem is, like I said, a lot of these apps are independent. So, their service line, they're supposed to provide service, but I don't know. You know what I mean?
Right.
Okay.
I'll try to see if I can find out if there's a little bit better channel to get. One more app that I want to talk about that's an entry app that I use, and before I forget, is Davo. It's a sales DAVO. It's a sales tax app that figures out their sales tax, lets them know who they owe, what they owe, and and it's one touch, which for a lot of small business owners, sales tax is a big issue.
Yeah.
So that's another one you can go in and investigate and use as an entry discussion.
Cool.
Yeah. One thing that we were talking about is just now is these different entry-level apps and opening up the discussion. And I know this stuff works. And I don't know if Cam is still on the phone, but Cam, what was it? How much was that doctor paying for time clock service?
He was paying over $50. He was paying over $50 a month for that, for the time clock.
And he's using Homebase.
And that was a big plus for this doctor. He thought this was the greatest thing in the world. He said, "Well, this will pay for it."
Yeah. Homebase. I use Homebase a lot to start conversations.
I would think so.
Excellent. All right. Any other questions, guys?
Just the one that when you do have information on the multi-account on the Clovers, let me know.
Yeah, I wrote a note to try to find out something about that. And you guys, you know about the pre-sale help desk hotline, right? Does everybody know that number?
Some do and some don't.
Well, I'm going to give you. Hang on a second. Get a piece of paper. Because this is a hotline that's designed for you folks for pre-sales. Okay, so it's not like no merchants are going to be calling this. They're going to ask you to identify yourself, what ISO you're from, but they can help you with pricing, with not with pricing, but with questions related to pre-sale and helping you sell stuff. So that number is 800-788-9516. 800-788-9516.
That's great.
Hey, Chad, can you send that in my email?
Yeah, I've got the number here, Dave. Or Mike.
All right. And can you give me a call when the conference is over?
Certainly.
Thanks.
All right, excellent. All right, guys. Dave, thanks for coming today. We appreciate it.
No problem.
That.
Anytime. Okay. And like I said, if anybody needs a question answered or something like that, shoot me an email or call me. Okay.
All right, that sounds
great.
Hey,
Dave, thanks.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, excellent. Bye-bye.